All right, hey folks. I'm gonna continue my drawing of Saint Francis. I was working on the trees in the last video, and I'm gonna be kind of just, I guess, drawing silhouettes of more trees in the background here. I'm gonna kind of keep it um, maybe less detailed than the trees in the foreground. Just maybe just some silhouettes here. Um, so last time I was talking about again the seven deadly sins and the opposing virtues, and the four that are more prominent in my life. I guess I'll start with like the weaker ones and then like move towards the strongest ones. So I would start. I'm going to start with talking about gluttony. Gluttony is definitely present in my life. In fact, I just had lunch, and I guess the question to myself would be, am I eating more than the share that I need? Because I think Pope Francis once said like wasting food is stealing from the poor. Some kind of equivalence like that, which was kind of a uh, interesting statement because think about it. In a way, it's true. Like someone could have eaten that. Food. It's that's like a hard issue to solve because like obviously food goes bad and not. You have a huge harvest of like leafy greens and you got to sell all of it. And like, what if not all of it is sold? Like, how are you gonna you know get it all to feed people? And if you keep gatekeep all food behind a price tag, like where is the charity towards the people that might need food but can't afford it? And of course, you can't always, you have to strike that balance because you're not always going to be able to sell that food, but you want to keep your business afloat. And I know these are problems that are always going to be addressed in like food production, like one the most basic industry, uh, uh, the most basic of all basic needs is like food. Um, and when it comes to gluttony, like, yeah, thinking about it through that lens, it's like, yeah, definitely I should not be eating too much, even out of respect for the poor. Of course, the food stays in my own house. I'm not exactly giving to charity, but maybe I should. But let's talk about like even beyond just thinking about the poor and charity. Why is gluttony bad? Well, obviously, our bodies are only meant to handle a certain amount, and once our needs are fulfilled, we don't need any more. We can go about our day, and this includes like gluttony includes like anything that's like dopaminergic. So food temperance is one thing. Then there's drinking temperance. Obviously, with alcohol, you can't drink too much, but in general, like something like Coke or orange juice or any sugary drink, you don't want to drink too much. So food and drink, that's kind of coupled together. But even when we think of something like sex, for example, you think that lust is different. Lust is like kind of getting what you want because you want it. Whereas gluttony is going to be an overindulgence of anything that's dopaminergic. So gluttony can apply to that. Gluttony can apply to entertainment, and that's something I'm certainly guilty of when it comes, especially with like anime, manga, and comics, and like movies and stuff. Like there was back when I was before this like sort of recovery and transition started, I was like always watching some kind of Marvel movie or some kind of anime or something like all the time, like while I'm supposed to be working, stuff like that. It's like I would always want to overindulge in just entertainment. It's like sedation. Entertainment can be seen as sedation, like it's just trying to calm us down. And in that sense, it can be very drug-like and addictive. So gluttony, in fact, might be what leads to perhaps gluttony is a description of addiction. So firstly would be the most basic would be like food addiction. Then there's drink addiction, where we get where alcoholics come to be. Obesity could be a symptom of food addiction. Of course, there's a lot of things that have to do with obesity, so it's not really my place to speak because I'm not a researcher in that field. But certainly, food addiction can contribute. I know it can contribute to something like obesity. Addiction to salty foods, sugary foods, and things like that. So gluttony, it's definitely a problem, and it's definitely a deadly sin. And these sins are called deadly sins because they do exactly what they describe is cause death. And we shouldn't really. I don't want to downplay that. I want to underscore that. That's why they're called deadly. Any one of them, even if you think they might be harmless in your life on a small scale, all of them, done too much can cause death. And any virtue, any opposing virtue, which done in love and humility, gives life. It cultivates life. So that is like the temporal the natural result of living that way. Um, One thing I've been thinking about is the freedom, like freedom for the sake of freedom, and like the freedom that's enabled by like our modern technology, our modern information age, everything being so cheap and easily accessible, and like just society developing in that way. And it's like if you have all this freedom and all these resources and all this capability, it's like what next? What do you do with it? Um, and that's the real question of religion, I think. And I think in this sort of modern society, and I guess this question has been being asked since the beginning of time. It's like what's the purpose of life? What do you do with your life? Well, that's where for me religion comes in, because those are the questions that religion is trying to answer. And Bishop Barron has really encouraged me to not shy away from dealing with, not dealing with, but like understanding the philosophy and theology that is offered by Christian thinkers. Saint Francis of Assisi is not necessarily considered a high thinker, but he's a person that lived the simple life, rejected a life of affluence. Is that the right word? Affluence, and chose to be in nature and chose to love and chose to be the gospel. And so he was a preacher, but he also lived the gospel, and that having both of those is really important. Um, so yeah. Uh, anyway, thinking back about the deadly sins, that's gluttony for me. Now, I do want to add some birds in here, whether it's just like some birds in the background here. Here. Just going to go for silhouettes, and then maybe one here. Just sort of standing on a branch here. My friends, the birds. Um, there's a few. It's going to be kind of hard to see. Maybe I should make this one a little bigger. I should zoom out of this piece, and let's do it just from full resolution here. Let's figure out how big we want the birds to be. So I mentioned one of my goals with the Opus Lilium project is like it's just beauty. Like I think um, it essentially it's evangelistic in nature. That's why John Paul II wrote his letter to artists for people like me who want to be Catholic and also want to be contribute and harness beauty in the world. Again, I have done. I haven't really talked about this much, but let's just say I have not put my art to good use in my life, my talent to good use all the time. Um, I do things that I do things that are like business related, like commissions and stuff. I had my own specific freelance projects, but I've also used my art for things that are like actively bad. And you guys might be able to imagine what those things might be, especially considering I'm talking about the seven deadly sins. Not going to really mention it here on YouTube, but I have not done I have done work that is like not good, not good for me, not good for the soul, and I don't want to do that anymore, and that's why I'm doing stuff like this because I want to be away from from a life of sin and just really think about goodness and be a part of it. And so Bishop Barron he talks about three transcendents um, that we can think about. There's the good, there's the truth, and there's the beautiful. Those are all things we can use and draw attention to that will give people cause or give people inspiration to look at God, because God, all those three things are like aspects and qualities and attributes of God. And God certainly is beautiful. And me as an artist, if I can draw attention to the beautiful, then ultimately I draw attention towards God. And I think people maybe don't recognize that that's when they're drawn to the beautiful, the naturalistic love of the beautiful, which can be described as eros. And I learned that eros can be directed towards nature and things, but of course, eros perfected is given towards like one's beloved or the most beautiful, really, because we as humans, what are we going to find beautiful? Well, other humans. Of course, we can find nature beautiful and everything, but humans, in a way, can be seen as a part of nature and as perhaps a perfection of the evolution of nature. And so when we see another beautiful human being, we're drawn to it and we want to be united with it. That's different from agape love, which I've learned that is kind of disinterested. It doesn't necessarily seek unity with others, but rather seeks unity with God. And it perfects eros, the natural love. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about. I think that's good for the line art. I kind of want a bird like flying somewhere. Um, Maybe like over here. I'm not really good at drawing birds flying, so let's. I guess we'll get some anatomy in there. We'll do the body and then maybe some wings spread out. We'll keep it simple. I don't want it to be too obnoxious or big here. I just want it to be kind of a silhouette. So I'm getting rid of some of the data from the tree branch. I didn't make a new layer for this. So I'm just taking a bit of a risk here, which but not really because I can just undo if it looks bad. I wonder. This makes me think about how my students are doing because I had started quite a few new students at the old art school I was working at on a few projects, and I haven't caught up with them since I quit that job. So I really wonder how they're doing. How does that look? It looks kind of bad. So beauty, right? It comes from nature, and we beauty is difficult to explain because it's like a natural response. Like we cannot even if we can explain why things are beautiful to us, like music for example, why does it give us emotion? Why is it beautiful to our ears? Well, we can explain the features of it, of our ears, and why we can discover, why certain chords make us happy and why certain sounds make us sad, why certain dissonances make us irritated. We can like look at that and say that it happens, but we how do we say why? How do we explain why? I guess that can be, that could be a whole nother realm of like human psychology and biology. Um, but ultimately, the first why, the why of anything, it comes back to a metaphysical question, which is God. It comes back to God for me. That's, my opinion, and of course, I'm leaning into my faith, discussing my faith more on my YouTube channel, of course, which I've always kind of not always wanted to do, but something I've needed to do, which I'm kind of trying to incorporate now. So there is a bird flying there. It's kind of like weirdly juxtaposed to the tree, so I'm gonna move it a little bit. Maybe change the size. I think that might be a good position. And I'm really like destroying a lot of the marks here, but just kind of going with the flow here. Again, I'm not great with birds, so that might be an ugly bird for the finished product. But I can keep taking a look at it, making improvements as I go. That's the thing about digital art with me. Like I'm very open to the adaptive process of being able to destroy things perfectly, where you can't really do that with traditional art. So. Okay, we can do some silhouette stuff now. I think that's pretty decent for the line art. I can improve the background later, but I'm just going to throw in a silhouette for St. Francis. I got to head out in about 5 minutes, so let's just throw this in as quick as we can. We'll use our lasso fill tool, our, what is it called in Krita again? The, what is it? The shapes fill tool. That is a bit dark. Let's use a lighter gray. We're just going to fill it in, and we'll use this as a alpha lock tool, or we can add like a mask on it, alpha mask. Just gonna go through the outline here, and I think at this point I might be able to take away the sketch. Let's see how it looks without the sketch. Yeah, I think that's good. I think this space right here of his face to his ear might be a little bit large. um and the ear might be a little too high, so I think I'll take a look at that later because I don't have time to keep drawing this right now. But I have about a little less than 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna keep going with this before I go back to work. Let's just fill in that silhouette. So I didn't get to talk more about the deadly sins, but I kind of just talked about gluttony and then kind of went on a tangent. But I think this is what I want to do. Just like real life and time lapse talking like this. I could put music, but I'm not really great with like selecting. I don't have much of experience with like selecting royalty free music, and it's kind of hard to find royalty free music. So I don't really want to spend time doing that, and I don't mind talking. So uh, so that will be. I'm kind of trying to find a new groove with this content creation, and because especially because I'm making this transition to the Opus Lilium project and really trying to lean into myself, not as an just as an artist or even just as an art teacher, but as a Catholic. Because again, like the realm of education, it's like yeah, we can a lot of times like what is the question is what is the purpose of education? Is it to get you a job? Is it to um, learn things for the sake of learning, like knowledge for the sake of knowledge? Is that what history is for? No. Well, history typically is beneficial to us because it helps us make good decisions where we know that in the past people made bad decisions, like started wars and stuff. But ultimately, what is the purpose? And like asking, like the why of anything we do will come down to the metaphysical question of what is life, what is the meaning of life, and why are we here? Why is there something instead of nothing? Like questions like that, which again, religion aims to solve. And I'm not talking about through like mysticism or through mythology or anything like that, but just solving it by actually engaging the deeper questions with logic. Um, and I want to read Thomas Aquinas. I know his stuff. There's like 3,000, 5,000 pages or whatever in the Summa Theologia, but maybe I won't be able to read all of it. But I do want to engage in those questions just because I want to. I like thinking about what is the meaning of life, and I want to live it because I failed to. So many times in the past, I would just give in to my gluttony. And maybe that's what this video is about. It's about my gluttony. It's about addiction. It's about getting lost in the mess, in the cesspool. Not to say that all entertainment is bad, but um, ultimately a lot of it is made for the sake of entertainment. Like, but we are moved by storytelling at the same time. So it's not bad per se to be entertained, to play a video game, to watch a movie. But once you start indulging in it for the sake of the entertainment aspect, and then that's all there is to it, you don't take it with you. You don't bring the story with you anywhere else in life. Then ultimately, like what was all of it for? And it ends up being wasted time. It ends up being like a sort of a degenerate life. Like someone can watch the story of Iron Man and be like, oh, Iron Man is sick, he has all these missiles. Or they can dive deep into his character and say, oh, this is what he went through, these are the things he does morally, but and this is why he's a good hero, or this is why I don't like him. For example, there's some people who don't like him. um, but even then, it's like once you think about that, what do you do next? What are you going to do with your own life? So ultimately, all these stories and entertainment are meant to serve us, but getting the emotional reward from it and getting the entertainment of it is just a small piece of why art and why we call it content now, why it exists. And if it doesn't serve us in any good way, then perhaps it's useless. So, or perhaps that time was not used for anything useful. And not necessarily to get into utilitarianism, that something useful is what makes it good. But I think I'm exploring the question of like what is good, and for me, what is the purpose of art? What do I want to do with art, and who do I want to serve? What is the purpose of creating beauty? So those are the questions that have been running through my mind lately, and I'm going to be talking more about this to you guys as I finish this piece. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.